Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Today I'm going to make some hazelnut biscuits or cookies. So these are going to be small little cookies made with hazelnuts which have been ground down into some flour and some sugar with another hazelnut on the top. Very simple to make and they don't take too long and they're very tasty. So I start off by preheating my oven to 190 degrees Celsius, 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and I've got a couple of baking trays ready with silicone mats or parchment paper would be fine. So I go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 180 grams, which is 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons of plain flour. I have 125 grams, which is 1 cup of roasted hazelnuts, and these were simply blanched hazelnuts which I put onto a baking tray and I roasted them in the oven for about 8 minutes until I could smell the aroma of the hazelnuts and I knew they were roasted. I have 150 grams of caster sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup, 125 grams of unsalted butter, which is 9 tablespoons. I have the yolks from 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, and I have 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt. And then I also have 36 roasted hazelnuts here. That's one to go on the top of each biscuit. I have some egg white from one of the medium eggs and some caster sugar. I'm going to brush the egg white on the top of the cookie and sprinkle some caster sugar on and poke the hazelnut onto the top. So that's all the ingredients, and the first thing we need to do is to get these hazelnuts ground down quite finely, and I'm going to do that in the processor bowl of my immersion blender. But if I grind those, they'll very quickly start turning into a paste just by themselves because of the oils within the hazelnuts. So I'm going to put my sugar in as well, and I'm going to process those until it's really quite fine. And if I think it's turning into a paste, I can add some of my flour in as well. So that's ground quite finely now, and that's quite good. So I'm going to put my flour in, and I'm going to pulse that a few times to get that mixed through, and put the salt in as well. And that's good. So then I'm going to add in my butter, and I'll just toss that just a little bit. And I'm going to process it again until it's all fully absorbed. The butter's fully absorbed and coats the rest of the ingredients. And that's quite good, and it's beginning to clump just a little bit. So then I'm going to add in my yolks, and I'm going to process again until it does clump into a batter basically, or a dough. And that's clumped very nicely, didn't take long at all. So I'm actually just going to tip that out into a larger bowl. And with that in the bowl, I'm simply just going to give it a good squeeze to bring it into a dough and to make sure that the egg yolk is worked through and there are no dry patches. And that's our dough basically. So we then need to divide that into 36 equal sized balls. And you can do that however you wish, but I estimate that I need about 17 grams for each ball. So I'm going to weigh out 17 grams and I'll just show you what that looks like. And that's 17 grams there. So I'm just going to squeeze that in my hand like that, and then I'm going to roll it into a ball. I'm going to put that onto my baking tray, and I'm going to get 18 on each of 2 trays. They will spread when they bake, but they don't spread too much. You can have them reasonably closely together, but I'll show you that. So I'll do the same with the remaining dough. So with my 36 balls rolled out, I'm simply going to take some egg white and brush it lightly over the top. This will give them just a little bit of a sheen, and it will help the caster sugar, which I'm going to sprinkle, to adhere to it. That will melt off during baking and give the sheen as well, basically. So I've coated those, and then I'm simply going to press a hazelnut into the top of each one, but I'm going to dip the hazelnut in the remaining egg white, just like that, and then press it into the top of the dough. And if the dough cracks, I'm not going to worry, because they're likely to crack a little bit as they bake as well. And I'm pressing them so that they're still standing slightly proud of the top, but you can do it however you wish, basically. And with the hazelnuts poked in, I'm simply going to take my little bit of extra caster sugar and I'm going to sprinkle some over the top of each one. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 18 and 20 minutes. They will spread out just a little bit and they will begin to brown on top, and when they've got a nice golden brown colour, I'll take them out of the oven. They'll still be very soft, but I'll gently transfer them to a wire rack to cool down, and once they've cooled they will firm up nicely and be nice and sort of have a nice crunch to them, but a very tender texture. So I'll come back when these have cooled down and we'll have a taste of them. I baked my hazelnut biscuits or cookies for 20 minutes. They browned nicely on the top. They spread out a little bit, as I said they would. And this is what they look like. So they've cooled down. As I said, they were soft when they come out of the oven, but they crisp up as they cool down. So I'll have a taste of one. It has a lovely crumbly, crunchy texture to it, very light. That hazelnut makes it nice and light, and with a lovely flavour as well. Hazelnuts have a very, very good flavour indeed. Now, I ought to mention that if you can buy hazelnut flour or ground hazelnuts, that makes this even simpler. You can use those instead of using the 125 grams of whole hazelnuts which we ground down. But grinding them down in a food processor the way I did works perfectly well as well. So that's going to be it for this recipe, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.